Welcome back. Wrist Check Podcast. Episode 59. Damn. Getting up there. Mm-hmm. The grades are settling in.
Almost.
Been doing this a long time.
Almost enough to retire.
Almost. Don't call it a comeback. We got a special guest on the show tonight. We are joined by Jess Chow, founder and CEO of Vieren Watches. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us tonight. It's going to be a fun night. You know who we are. You got the usual suspects. My name is Perry.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Rashawn.
And we make up the Wrist Check Podcast. You're in for a treat. This is going to be good. This is, I think you're not the first watch CEO, because we had Edward on.
We have
VJ.
We had Edward
Rolf.
Malin, and we had VJ.
We have Robin as well from Atelier Win.
We did, but you are the first woman CEO of a watch company we've had on.
Yes. Usually very rare, right?
Yeah. So I'm excited because I think we get a whole new perspective this evening. And you have an amazing company that's brewing and coming up, and we'll get into that. But before we move there, we've got to have our honorary wrist check. It's only right. And as is tradition, we'll start with Rashawn, the man who almost never repeats a watch.
Yeah, we can start to go into almost now.
But repeats the classics.
Repeats the classics.
You got something nice on the wrist this evening. I think you only wore that once before. What's this tonight?
This is the JLC Polaris. I mean, I've shared my love for this watch on the show, of course. And
Yeah.
No date on a dive watch the way it should be. I like that it kind of has that dressy, but then with functionality of being professionally used, etc. and so forth. You know, I can wear this with a hoodie and cargos and some Timbs, and then go ahead and put it on with a suit at the same time.
Yeah. Very versatile.
With a wetsuit?
Yeah,
Go diving.
go dive in. But like, you know, this is one that I like to go to when, you know, I'm taking off the paddock or taking off the paddock. Or you know,
what a flex.
I'm not feeling the Cellini. You know, I've kind of resorted to this.
So wait. The JLC Polaris is a beater.
Yes.
Respect. Okay,
Polaris is a beater.
Okay.
But I love it. I love it. And, you know, I'm not afraid to like ding it up or scratch it.
Of course.
But still want to keep it as mint as I possibly can.
It's pretty mint. I enjoyed the bracelet
Yeah.
on that piece. I also always find it interesting. I love a watch that has two crowns.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a thing.
Yes.
The second crown rotates the internal bezel, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So you get a little funny with your egg timer there.
Yeah.
Respect.
Exactly.
Enjoy it.
Thank you.
We'll save our guest for last. Ben, what are you wearing tonight? You got a special watch on?
Yeah, it's a watch I'm wearing for the first time on the show. Shout out to Eric Wynn for sending them to us.
Shout out to Eric.
Shout out to Eric.
The Purple Dial Seiko Roaring Blazers collab.
Love it.
And as always, I immediately took it off the bracelet.
Sure, yeah.
Put it on the NATO. The green and yellow against the purple dial is a great combination.
I love it. I think it bangs. It's very preppy.
It definitely bangs, but I'm a sucker for the second hand.
Second hand is
Red
nice.
and white stripes. Looks like
It's
a
good.
lighthouse.
Oh, that's it.
Shout out to
Sure.
Lighthouse in the room somewhere.
I kind of thought it was a candy cane, but
I mean, Roaring Blazers,
It's
you know,
good, yeah.
nautical.
yeah, no, it's good.
So it works.
Respect. I'm wearing a watch I've worn before. I don't know what made me wear this watch today.
Yeah, I was thrown off a little bit.
I think I was thrown off. I saw it in the watch box, and I was like, man, I haven't worn this in a while. So I'm wearing my my rag and bone Casio. I don't often wear a digital watch. I'm wearing all black today. Just felt sleek, felt appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's something about it that is a lot less serious, and I've been wearing some serious watches lately.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this it felt like, I don't know, it felt innocent. It felt nice to just wear something and not really just think about it at all. And no, I like it a lot. I'm much appreciated. Shout out to Rag and Bone. I love this piece. It's great. Jess, you got a special piece on.
I do.
You do. This is a piece that I happen to really like. And we were talking off camera about it a little bit. What do you got on the wrist?
Absolutely. So what I have here is our gold mirror.
Okay.
It's the latest from the stereo collection. It's
Yep.
actually inspired by vintage stereo speakers in Studio 54. Speaking of a little bit less serious, we wanted to do something a little more fun, a little bit more celebratory.
Yep.
So with our gold mirror, there's like kind of a disco ball vibe. And when you look at it, you know, you kind of see pieces of yourself as well. So
See yourself in shades of gold.
why not?
I love it.
And you can see part of the movement through the dial too, which is cool.
Absolutely. So with this one, we actually, we're really highlighting the automatic movement. So we wanted to do skeleton cutouts so you can actually see the jewels of the movement right in front. And then there's also a slight bevel on the dial as well that resembles that of like a volume speaker,
Yeah.
and bringing those like music motifs in as well.
That's cool. There's a date disc on this model too, right?
So traditional date discs, you have kind of the numbers going around the side.
Yeah.
What we've done is we've etched the numbers around the actual inner bevel rim, and we've put a little white marker so it actually acts like a volume meter on a speaker.
That's awesome. Very thoughtful. I'm a big fan of the bracelet. I like brick bracelets. I think the bracelet is elegant. It's fun.
Absolutely.
It's nice. And the
it's
class is great.
super comfortable as well. They're all single link. And then we also have a custom double deployment buckle as well with miniature pushers so that we have kind of that sleek profile as well as it looking a little bling,
Bling bling. I love it.
you know.
It's great.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I want to get into your story a little bit. It's always interesting and cool to have someone who launches a brand on the show, or meet someone who launches a brand. It's not every day you meet someone that launches a watch company. And there aren't many people, as it appears to be in the space, quite like yourself. I want to know your story. Where are you from? Who is Jess?
Absolutely. So I'm Canadian. I'm from Toronto.
Okay, shout out to Drake.
Yes, yes. Represent.
The six.
Watches is actually something that I grew up with.
Okay.
So my mom and my dad actually independently made watches.
Wow.
And both of them actually met at Baselworld back
That's
in
so
the
crazy.
80s.
Wow.
Legendary.
Right.
So they were watchmakers.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
They both actually grew up in the industry, over 40 years of experience. And so something that I grew up all my life, you
Wow.
know, they would always talk about it, but I think my experience is different from collectors.
Yeah.
Like I remember walking factories, you know, with my parents, like smelling the oils,
Yeah.
you know, behind the scenes. And there's like a really sexy quality to how things are made. And we really wanted to kind of bring back that classic craftsmanship. But we also wanted to bring something that was stylish and fashionable as well. So starting a company was something I've always wanted to do. But because I had watches in my family, I kind of ran away from it as a kid. I was
Right.
like, I want to do something different. I want to learn something new.
So what were you doing before you got into watches? What was career-wise? Where were you?
Yeah, I went into business actually.
Okay.
So I was a management consultant for
Okay.
over a decade, building brands, working at different agencies,
Yeah.
and kind of learning the behind the scenes of really how to start a brand that would resonate with customers today. But always wanting to find an idea that would really be a passion of mine. While still kind of representing who I am. And I never actually thought of starting a watch company until I met my business partner.
Okay. And
So my business partner, his name is Fong, and he's actually a fashion designer. He won Project Runway Canada, actually. So he's built quite a great career, really pushing modernist designs and modernist style. And he told me a story, actually. When he turned 40, he started wearing his dad's automatic watch.
okay.
Because when you wear an automatic watch, it actually is your energy and your momentum that keeps it powered. And he uses it as motivation to actually get out there and pursue his passions. And I thought that was like such a beautiful story. And I was like, oh, it's like the original Fitbit, right?
Yeah.
You wear this watch and it actually motivates you. And we really wanted to kind of celebrate that and bring back the automatics. So we decided to kind of move forward with designing an automatic watch. But what kind of automatic watch?
Yeah.
He really wanted to do something that was rectangular shaped. It was his high school graduation gift. And if you think about classic design, a rectangular watch is what you see in the movies.
Right.
It's really classic, and it's something that we wanted to bring back. We looked at the market and we didn't see a lot of rectangle. We realized why when we started getting into the manufacturing process, because they're incredibly difficult to engineer. So that was kind of 2019, 2020, and we worked together to really create our first collection, the OG Automatic, which really marries the automatic movement, but really bringing in that rectangular shape into a modern design.
What problems are you coming across when you were manufacturing the watch because of the shape?
Absolutely. So because we wanted to do the automatic movement, the movement itself is
round,
bigger as well as thicker, right? And to fit a circle into a square, exactly. We basically had to find the smallest movement available for us. In ours, it's the ETA 2671. It's quite small, but it still has a 44-hour power reserve, so we call it small and mighty.
That's important.
That's pretty impactful.
And then you also wanted a rectangular watch to not be too thick. Most of them are over, 12 millimeters. And we actually spent over 2 years just getting this as thin as possible so that it can still be kind of that dress watch shape, and you can wear it to a nice event or even in t-shirt and jeans to go to the grocery store.
Yeah, so to make it like less sleek profile, less thick, you almost kind of have to like over engineer everything.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to work more to get a lower profile.
When they first gave us the case, it was really, really thick. And we worked directly with the manufacturer to go millimeter by millimeter to try to get that, to have that sleek profile.
Interesting. I'm sorry, you had a question?
Yeah, because I was gonna ask Jess. So, did you pick up the trade of watchmaking? Like, did your parents ever try to like teach you the skill? Did you want to pursue the skill?
Yeah, growing up, it's not something that I wanted to learn, but I was just saying that I wanted to take a course because it's so interesting to me after I've learned more so the intricacies and the behind the scenes as an adult now. I'm like so understanding the value in that, and I want to be able to do it myself. It sounds so fun.
so then what I was going to follow up with, so saying that it was a little bit difficult for you to put the smallest movement into this rectangular shape, did your parents kind of like give you any insight, or like did you have any hand?
That's where I was gonna go. Yeah.
Did they have any hand in making your watches?
I wanted to really have a separation between them and us, full disclosure, and so they definitely gave me some advice.
Yeah.
They actually told me not to do the rectangular shape.
Really?
Yeah. They say not a lot of people buy it. They told me. Doing Swiss made watch, making everything certified, it takes a lot more effort. And they were saying, I don't know if young people will appreciate stuff like that.
What time is this? This is what year?
2018, 2019.
2018.
Yeah.
Okay, so some time ago. And I think, considering what we know about the market then, at that time, they were right.
Yeah.
But as it turned out, things were shifting, and now shape watches have really come back.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So 2019 was like the beginning of that shit for sure.
It really was,
And then quarantine happened, and that took off.
It took off, yeah. And everyone diving into vintage and everything, and now you see it back with modern pieces.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, so you talked about like your parents kind of giving you some tips and pointers. And I know you didn't see yourself jumping into this, but were you at all collecting watches, or what was your relationship with watches pre-Vieren?
Totally.
Outside of like your parents' influence.
Well, we always had kind of different brands at home, so those were the ones I was exposed to, and so the ones that I was collecting very much was in their circle. As a woman, really, I was more into jewelry and into different types of accessories, you know. But now, as an adult, having a timepiece is so critical, and the more women I speak to, it's actually something that's not marketed at all to women. And it's something that I'm really passionate in. With the OG Automatic, everything is gender neutral. And it's something that I think it's more of an education piece that people need to understand that value,
Yeah. Let's take a look at the OG Automatic.
Sorry. This piece here. So now you met Sonny, and you guys teamed up, and he was passionate about creating a shaped watch. How much time went into designing this piece?
Yeah, just the case took us over 2 years to kind of refine. If you look at the actual case shape, where it's difficult for a rectangular case is because when you bevel metal, it heats up and then it cools down, and that actually warps the metal quite a lot. To be able to do a rectangular, it needs to be exactly precise, or else the pins don't fit in. So if you actually look at the profile of the case, how it bends into your wrist, how the lugs actually bevel into the actual bracelet. We looked at really those subtle details, and to us, that's what luxury is taking those really subtle pieces, but really having thoughtful care behind how that will actually sit on your wrist when you wear it over time.
You don't often find fashion designers designing watches. I think it speaks a great deal about your partnership with Sonny, but also Sonny's eye and attention to detail design. I'm curious, how do you guys decide to arrive on a brick bracelet?
We wanted something that was super comfortable and classic, and these brick bracelets aren't really made anymore. And so this was something that we really wanted to recreate, bringing back that kind of dress watch shape, as well as making sure that it's super comfortable.
Yeah. The design is very timeless. I mean, when I look at this watch, I see so many times in horology when you're talking about the design aspect of things. My favorite era would definitely have to be the 70s. And I see the 70s design in it, especially the inspiration, the meticulousness it takes to say, like, okay, this is how I want it to look, and it could be worn in the 70s to the 2000s to 2023 into the future. It has like this futuristic look as well too, which is very interesting, because you would think that something like this would have a place in a date, but you could see this and you see it in like some like post-apocalyptic movie or something, like, which is kind of crazy.
I love that. And that's the thing.
If I can say.
No, thank you. And I take that very much as a compliment too, because like, especially with fashion, there was so much stuff that was fast fashion, things that are just made for the season, and we wanted to create something that was timeless, that could be on your wrist for many years.
I think it's a statement piece too, right? Like, I think when you think about shaped watches, it's not something that is super mainstream. Yeah, it's more popular today, but especially when you guys decided to kind of take that step and to do a shaped watch, it wasn't the thing that most people were reaching for. But I think, considering the partnership that you forged with Sonny, it sounds like, you had the passion and the thirst to create something, and in him you found someone who had a perspective.
Absolutely.
Right? And so this resonates with me for a couple of reasons, but it's funny, I had a conversation recently with a friend of ours, Rhonda, who works at Watchanista. Shout out to Rhonda. We were
Another Canadian.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
Shout out to Rhonda.
And we were talking about watches that were that sort of had an impact on you. And it's funny because I hadn't considered this for a while, but there was a watch that my dad had that I always used to reach for.
Yeah.
It was a Kenneth Cole reaction.
Oh my gosh.
I was shocked to hear that.
Yeah, it was though,
I did
and
not expect that.
it was a shaped watch. It was a rectangular shaped watch, and I remember seeing that, and I knew what Kenneth Cole was, didn't really care, but I'd never seen a watch like this before, and there was something about it that just drew me in. And I was like, oh, I think this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Right?
You had like an emotional reaction.
I had an emotional reaction.
Absolutely.
I remember the first time I wore it with a suit. I went to like some like school dance thing or something. And I was like, oh, I want to wear the watch. And then there was something about the design of like a rectangular shaped watch that at first glance appears super dressy.
Yeah.
But it's funny because you mentioned like jewelry.
Yeah.
Right? And so you realize, I think, how versatile the design is, because then I had an inclination for some reason to dress it down.
Right.
And it started becoming this watch that I wore any occasion or anytime I could get my hands on it. It started with me asking my dad to wear it.
Yep.
And then it started with me seeing on the dress and just taking it.
Yeah.
It was just like, I'm
You
going
felt
to
like it was
movies.
your watch.
Yeah, it was my, you know what I'm saying? But I never really considered that. And like, it's funny, like looking at this now, like it's bringing that memory back too. And I get it. And there's something about shaped watches that like really, really make a statement. They're classic. They're timeless. I think they speak a lot about the person that's wearing them, and what they care about. Because it is an aesthetic choice, right? And I think it's great that your passion and your upbringing and relationship with watches, you know, had you convinced like this has to be like a mechanical watch. You know, I think it's great to do something that's fashion forward, design forward, but at the same time, you sort of hearkening on what your parents brought to you and how they influenced you, and saying, we're going to stick to the roots of watchmaking, what I know about.
And we really wanted to take a new approach, right?
Right.
Take a modern approach, something
Yep.
that's actually relevant today, but still is still timeless.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the movement. So I understand that you were able to partner and forge a relationship with this watchmaking house. What's the name of the house? It's
It's a watchmaking studio in La Chaux-de-Fonds.
in Le Chaux de Fonds. Okay. And so you guys are searching for finding a piece that can fit into this. We know the specs now, but what were you sort of thinking about in that process outside of just like, it's got to be automatic, it's got to fit into this piece? What were some of the things that mattered to you in terms of delivering an automatic watch to the table?
Absolutely. I think our whole tenet is about modernist design. And so modernist design is really about having those subtle details all throughout the watch. It looks like there's not a lot, but there's actually a lot hidden behind it. So
Yeah.
what you have there is our matte white version. It's the classic white dial. If you look at kind of the subtle details, you'll see that the minutes and hours hands are actually in the polished silver, but we've actually knocked out the seconds hand in the matte white, for example, to add a little bit more depth and dimension in there. The indices are all tone on tone, and then we also have really slight debossed seconds holes right there. So all of these have these slight 3D dimensional details within it, and it's a very small space that you're kind of working with.
You can see it, yeah.
And then also signature to our timepieces, if you just turn the watch slightly, you'll see a 18 karat gold Reholt ring.
Yeah, I noticed that you have the minute hashes in there.
You got it, good eye.
That's
So
what I
those
kept staring at
are
in the black one.
so those are really like the subtle details as well, and we wanted signature pieces that when you look at it, you know it's a Vieren.
The one with the diamond. I'm wearing the one with the diamond hour markers now. And this one, the dial on it is sick because, like you said, it has like that engraved pattern outside where the seconds and the minute track is.
Totally. So that one has the 31 natural diamonds on the indices, and
Yeah.
there's actually, as you mentioned, that pattern on the outside, just to add more depth and dimension on that version.
Yeah, and the you can really see the gold more on it because I feel like it reflects off of the pattern when the
Totally.
light hits it.
Another thing that I really enjoy is I love the fact that you chose to incorporate an open case back design. Because it's very easy to produce a watch like this and to make it quartz. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you were very intentional in terms of like sticking to your roots and your upbringing with your relationship with your parents and watchmaking, but also like letting people experience that.
Totally.
And there's so much beauty that's involved here, from the design of the case, the accents on the dial, but there's that Easter egg that I think that a watch like this is very appealing to someone who's in search for their first luxury timepiece, and they still get to enjoy what they hear everybody who's already well versed talk about, right? And so here's your introduction to an automatic movement. Check it out and look at it. And I love that you guys have put a detail on the rotor, and you see it there, and it says Vieren.
Absolutely.
The movement is small, but what's nice is it's actually it's kind of nice to look at. Like, you still kind of see a little bit of everything. You know, you can see the mainspring go, you can see the jewels, like you can see some of the gears. And those are the kind of things that I think bring people in more. And then you start them with like, oh, I think this is a pretty watch. I like this brand. And then they become collectors.
Exactly. And when we were talking to people in our circle, we were talking about the automatic watch. We realized a lot of people outside of the collector community don't know what an automatic watch is. I've had people ask me if it's an Apple Watch. And I'm like, it's actually the opposite, right?
Yes.
And after going and learning more about watchmaking and knowing that actually this is a craft that is almost dying, like a lot of people don't have the skill set to really know this. It's really something that we wanted to bring forward and celebrate because it's such a beautiful piece of art. And we want to share that with more people.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I might be jumping the gun, but I wanted to kind of tap into like your business side of things and where your background kind of lies the most. Because you've put so much effort into this. Of course, it's a passion project, but at the same time, it is for profit. Like, you know, you're not making this just to like, you know, at the end of the day, it's business, it's money. And putting all these specs in that's very special to you, how are you able to kind of create this like competitive but also like approachable price point to the market?
Absolutely. That's a great question. You know, usually the reason why a lot of people might not have the knowledge in automatic is because they're priced out a lot, right?
Yeah.
And that was something that was really important to us, that we wanted to bring something that was accessible. In our OG automatic, it's around $2,000 to $3,000.
Yeah.
Even with our diamonds, it's $3,500. And so it's definitely something that you should work hard at getting your first automatic watch, but it's still something that you can achieve and
Very
attain,
accessible.
you know?
Yes.
Yeah. How did you know? So the first release was the OG. And at this question I'm going to propose is what I ask anyone who ventures off and starts their own brand, you know, getting ready to launch their first product. How do you know when it's done? What was that eureka moment like where you were like, this is it, we're putting it out?
It's an interesting question. When the manufacturer gave me the watch, right? No, and it's one of those things where you can over-design it.
Yeah.
But really, with Swiss watches, you have to put the order in, and it takes over 6 months to handcraft, right?
Yeah.
And so really with matte white, we were really happy with the case shape. And that's where we actually started experimenting with more and more different things.
Okay.
So we were happy actually with matte white, and that actually sparked ideas. That's why we started doing matte black. We're like, what if we did it in black? What if we added diamonds? What you have here is our launch in 2021, which is our black rock leather. We're like, what if we made the whole watch in leather? And this one in particular actually has the leather all the way through the dial as well. And it resembles that of a leather cuff.
Yeah, this one's my favorite of the bunch. And
Yeah,
Perry
I like
has
the
it in
one a
white.
lot.
So I think the answer is I'm never done. There's always like more and more ideas. And I
Right.
think that's so great about watches is because it's something that you can like start playing with and have differences. I can wear each one of these on a different day depending on my mood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And
exactly.
it really represents different parts of myself.
Yes.
And so it's still evolving in that sense, right? And so I think that's cool too, is like, you know, you start with the OG, and then we get to see it evolve, and you're evolving with the expression of different ideas and using different materials. So, you know, crafting a leather dial is not something that you see
Yes.
these days.
Yeah, never.
We talked about it, and we did have the privilege of seeing a vintage quorum that had a very similar concept. But even that, I think when we saw that, it was like, wow, I never even considered that.
Yeah.
That wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
How did that? Where did that idea come from? Was that a Sunny choice? Was this something that you guys discussed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you kind of look back at Sunny's fashion career, leather is a staple in all
Okay.
of his collections.
Can't be mad at him for that one.
Absolutely. And I mean, leather is timeless too, right? It's something that you can keep forever. And we hadn't really seen a leather dial. And when we proposed it, they did tell us it was impossible to do.
They said it was impossible.
Not possible, yes,
Wow.
especially because I already have an existing case. You need to make sure it fits in. It needs to be meticulously thin so that it actually doesn't have any issues over
Yeah.
time as well.
You would think that having an existing case would make it easier, no? Like just fit the dial to the case.
Right, but then you have a fixed space to really
Right.
play with in that sense. And by adding the leather, you're also making the dial much thicker.
Right.
And so we also had some issues with the indices because now you have to pierce it through a much harder surface.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we then had to specially engineer actually the indices to make sure that they are small enough because we also wanted to have that still super slim,
Yeah.
minimal look.
Did you have to make the pegs for the indices longer to go all the way to
Yeah,
down?
longer
Yeah.
and stronger, yes.
Rashawn, you had a question?
Yes. Perry, you kind of like tapped into it a bit. But then kind of listening to you, I think I kind of found like a new question I was going to ask because of the designs that you make here, this comes from your experience of like music and the speakers and then like leather cuffs and fashion and all these kind of things. Is there anything that you've designed where your imagination has gone too wild and like, the designers or like the watchmakers, like in this instance, they made it happen, but there's something that's just like absolutely like no way in hell.
I'll be honest, at every conjecture on this collection, I got no's across the board.
Yeah.
If I believed what people said and took it at face value,
Yeah,
this
this
collection
wouldn't
wouldn't
be here, yeah.
exist. And I think that's where innovation really happens when you kind of push people. And so we're excited about it. Hopefully we'll come up with even more wild ideas that we can continue to try.
Yes.
Yeah. Cheers
So
to
then
more no's.
how do you,
Right?
so because when you deal with Swiss watchmakers, designers, etc., like we know how protective they get about just the culture of horology and etc. How do you convey your message for them to kind of break the mold and go against the grain?
Absolutely. We were super lucky to actually work with a watchmaking factory in Le Chaux de Fonds that had a much kind of younger edge.
Okay.
They were hiring, people that were younger. They had tattoos that were watchmakers, and they really invested in us. As an independent, it's really rare that you can actually bespoke design every single component of an actual watch. All of our watches are limited edition. There's only 100 of each. And so they did really invest a lot of time with us to be able to really craft each of these components that are really special and different.
Yes, very different.
What's the case on the white leather dial made out of?
Oh yeah, that one's fun.
Yeah.
So this one is our white croc. It resembles that of like a white sneaker,
Yeah.
a little sporty and dressy. This was Cerakote on the outside to achieve the white.
So you and Sonny get together. So we're going to start a watch company. You name it Vieren. Where does this name come from? What inspired it? What does it mean?
Yeah, Vieren is actually Dutch. It means celebrate,
Okay.
and we're really here kind of celebrating today's moment.
Yeah.
The real definition is to celebrate, to party, or to feast.
I love it.
And I mean,
I try
that
to
really
live my life that
represents.
way every day.
Maybe you're very much the Vieren brand here, Perry, right? I think everyone wants that more
Yeah.
in their life as well. So
It's funny too. I didn't realize, but like you can also see like the minute track inside against the walls of the case.
Yeah, that's what's on the Rehal, on the gold Rehal.
That's tight.
I love that you guys are seeing more and more the more you guys
Yeah.
are looking at it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It looks different against every dial.
It does, yeah.
I think you guys would find this interesting. When I first made the matte black watches, our gold ring, we couldn't see the ring at all. And we were wondering why. And I went back to science class back in high school. I'm like, oh, it's refraction. It's because
Yeah.
the black dial doesn't actually reflect
There's no
any
light
light.
coming off.
So if you
Yeah.
actually look at our gold ring, it's slightly angled at a 2-degree angle
Huh.
so that you can actually have that really clearly
Yeah.
seen across all of our watches.
I think that's a testimony to just as we look at these timepieces and we see so much more detail and, like I said, using that word meticulous and not bending and compromising to design these works of art. Photos don't do it justice. I think these are pieces that have to be tried on. They have to be appreciated. They have to be seen. And someone definitely has to be able to convey that message the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because, you know, for those that are not educated, it's just a watch. But for you, you're like, this is my story. This is my life.
Yeah.
This is my everything.
Yeah. Who designed the logo? Sonny designed the logo too?
Yes, he did. And we actually have a little bit of a little lucky motifs and elements throughout our watches.
Okay.
Both of us are Chinese. It's our background and culture. And the logo actually, of course, it looks like a V as well as the 12 o'clock, but it also has references of the bat. And
Okay.
that actually
Oh,
gives
wow.
people
This-
luck and fortune.
Yeah.
If you look at our crown, it's an octagonal crown.
Yep.
And the shape really resembles that of a bagua. And in Feng Shui, they use that to ward off bad energy.
Oh, it's amazing.
So, you know, you put on your watch and you feel good.
good
You
luck.
know,
It's
it's a
good
good
luck.
luck
Yeah,
charm,
it's a
right?
vibe.
100%.
I definitely seen like some kind of winged animal. I was thinking like a falcon or something. Like, I was thinking something crazy. I don't know what I was thinking. Like what is it? Is it Valkyrie? Is that like a
I think Valkyrie is the guy that
That's
kills
a little-
vampires.
something?
Valkyrie's a little Nordic.
Yeah, it's Nordic.
So before you said bat, I was thinking fox.
Okay,
So when I see
yeah.
the logo, I think of like a little head of a fox. Almost.
I see that. A little sly.
Yeah, exactly.
There's something else that you guys are doing that I really appreciate, and this is a topic of discussion that's become increasingly more important to watch collectors, enthusiasts, and particularly people who are venturing off into watches, and it's the conversation of sustainability. As become tradition with many watch collectors and seasoned watch collectors, at least, and I speak to a lot of people who are buying for the first time. They don't really get it, but we like to collect the boxes. And I think what's cool is that you've given people a reason, particularly people who this may be their first luxury timepiece, to actually keep the box. And inside the box, the watch is delivered to you on a watch stand. You want to open this
yeah,
up
I
real
will.
quick and just show
Sure,
Might
and grab it
open it
with
for you.
this. Yeah, exactly. Of course. Well, we were thinking about the packaging, and when we were looking at options, a lot of the boxes you just kind of throw out, right? And it just didn't feel right to us. And our collections are all inspired by modernist architecture, and it's all about form and function.
Yeah.
And so, really, with our packaging, is all about form and function as well. This is the kind of the watch stand that it comes in, and you can kind of have the watch at home on your bedstand when you're wearing it, when you're not wearing it. So, just encouraging you to really wear your automatic watch
Yeah.
every day. You know.
Yeah.
I love that.
And show it off.
And show it off. But also, like, this has become like a thing, right? Like, watch stands
Got it.
are the watch accessory business is booming.
Of course.
And just to let people know, you typically got to pay extra for this, right?
Yes,
You get
like
it comes with the watch.
A couple $100 extra.
That's
yeah.
pretty awesome.
Yes. It's stunning.
But it also, I think it's funny because the word that came to mind immediately to me was celebrating, and it goes back to Vieren. But getting your first luxury timepiece, or your second, your third, is a celebratory and a momentous occasion.
Yes.
And when you fall in love with watches, yeah, you like to show it off, but you also there's a relationship that's formed, an experience. And when I have I keep my watches in a safe. But when I have a new watch, it's by my bedside.
100%.
It's right there.
I wanna see it all
like
the
it within
time.
arm's reach.
Yes.
I want to see it. Sometimes I roll over, I pick it up, and I just look at it and smile.
Yeah.
I know it's weird for
I
those
figure-
of you who are new to this.
I think this is the group
But
that
I'm
does
sure
that.
it
Yeah,
is.
right?
We can all attest to that.
You
We
can
do
all
it.
attest to that. And so I think, like, to be able to buy a timepiece like that and to add that level of experience to it is incredibly thoughtful, and you're going to win over a lot of people with that. So it's a really, really nice touch.
Yeah, that experience is something that's important to us too, because you want to get a watch, you want to be able to wear it right
Yeah.
away. And so one of the other elements that we offer is complimentary sizing.
Oh, okay.
Because what happens is you get the watch and then I have to go to a watch store to get
Yep.
a size.
Yeah.
I want to wear it right away. And so those are kind of like little service elements that we think about because you want to really enjoy that.
Absolutely.
Unboxing
So how
experience,
does someone
right?
do that? Just put a measurement in?
You just let us deliver a size and then
Yeah.
we'll just have it shipped with it sized already.
That's amazing. The other thing I like too about it is the fact that you guys are using the pen to keep the links together, but there's a ton of removable links there.
Yeah.
And I think the watch industry has forgotten that wrists come in all sizes
Yes.
and shapes. And with a lot of these watches, at some point, it's kind of like there's no more.
Yeah, you can't do
take any
anymore.
more links
Yeah.
out, guys. And it's like, no, you actually are making it so that you can cast a much wider net and build a larger audience.
Absolutely. Well, sorry not to cut you off.
No,
but
please.
It's a funny story because most bracelets are regular size,
Mm-hmm.
and when I first made the watch, it actually didn't fit my wrist.
Wow. See?
Wow.
My wrist is very small, and so we specially engineered this so that it would have more links that would be removable, so that it could have that reach.
Absolutely. Speaking of, accessibility, you guys right now the business is direct to consumer. So people are you buy Vieren where you're buying it online on your website, right? Are you guys planning expanding? Will there be more doors, more opportunities for points of sale to get Vieren? What do you got planned for the future?
Yeah, we definitely want to get Vieren out there more. We are doing kind of trade shows right now.
Okay.
We'll be at Wind Up in October.
Awesome.
We're also going to be back here in September for our next launch as well. And so we definitely want to get out there more, but wanting to find the right partners and not just have Vieren everywhere. So this year we're really focused on really getting the watches out onto more wrists.
Yes.
Because it really, when you touch and feel it, it's a completely different experience
It
than
is.
seeing it online.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So going back to the one on your wrist,
Yes.
the gold mirror. This was inspired by Studio 54 stereos. Where did the idea to pursue that mood, that inspiration come from?
Yeah, Sunny really does a lot of research when we're coming up with new collections to look at trends, look at what's interesting, and we wanted to play with gold for a while.
Okay.
It's something that has been on, our wish list. But how do you want to do gold? And, the whole 70s movement is something that is kind of reviving now. So we wanted to kind of play that up while keeping that kind of modern twist as well.
It's awesome.
And then kind of diving into the future, because Perry's been asking. Right now, of course, it's crazy because with rectangular shaped pieces, especially with this cape size, men can wear it as well. Do you have anything in the future that will kind of be like for the fellas? Like,
This is
Yeah,
for
this
the
is
fellas.
it.
like, okay. No, I'm saying, but like more like, I don't know,
More sporty, perhaps?
more sporty. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that's really important to us is creating something that's gender neutral.
Yeah.
Watches should be timeless.
Yeah.
And especially as a woman, there are like a lot of tool watches out there. There's not a lot of options for us. And so making something that is gender neutral is something that we want to continue moving forward with. We actually spent a lot of time on the exact size of this case shape to make sure it could fit every single wrist for both men and women, and be universal.
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, I think I really enjoy the leather dial pieces.
Yeah.
You like the white or the black?
I like the white one
Yeah.
a lot. Actually, it just feels like very Miami to me. It makes me want to go.
Yeah,
out and
you love
celebrate.
that.
I do love that.
Key West watch.
Oh,
Miami, Miami
absolutely.
watch.
Yes.
Yeah, this makes you feel a little Scarface. I don't know.
Yeah, I see that.
I think gender neutrality in watches, I think, is a really great conversation, and it's something that I've talked about a lot recently. I mean, we even had Kathleen on the show, and she talked about like, one of her biggest
Yeah.
pet peeves with people like gender and watches.
Yeah, I mean, watches are for anybody who wants
They're
to
for
wear them.
anyone who wants to wear them.
Really, my personal style, I like men's style better. I like things that are
I think
chunkier
people go back
too.
and forth,
So,
right? And even
Yeah.
like today,
It's
like,
not necessarily by gender.
I find myself, I've been skewing smaller. Like I'm wearing watches between like, to me now, I used to say 39 was the sweet
Yeah.
spot. I think like 37
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
perfect.
I mean, everyone here has small vintage
We all have
watches.
small
We all
vintage
have
watches.
34s. We all have 40s.
and then we have 40s,
Yeah.
with like a 42.
Yeah.
And so I think, that is an important conversation to have. But I also think that there is something to be said for you deciding to put yourself out there as a spokesperson, as a founder, as CEO of an upstart company that you've launched, to be the face.
Mm-hmm.
We don't often, even still in 2023, see a lot of women CEOs in the watch industry. We're starting to see that.
Mm-hmm.
You see it at AP, and I think they're doing an amazing job.
Mm-hmm.
I was with some folks yesterday visiting from Switzerland. They have a brand called Vieren, and their owner and CEO is a woman. But you don't really see very many launched by women.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that this is a trend that continues.
Definitely.
How important is it? Is it important at all for you? Do you see yourself as is it important for you to be in the forefront? Does it mean something to you to have established yourself as a watchmaking company, as a watch company that was owned, launched, and is run by a woman?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's something that is very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, I saw my mom being a really badass entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something that really inspired me. I would love to inspire other women to get into the industry too, because I think it's something that, from what I've heard, is somewhat intimidating,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's a lot of terms, maybe it's information that they don't know. And kudos to you guys. Like, you guys have done a great job really making it more approachable to people. And let's continue,
Yeah,
growing that
absolutely.
community, because this is something that's super cool. Like, just come and ask questions. It shouldn't be intimidating.
Yeah.
Yes.
We gotta make it fun.
Exactly.
You brought up your mom. I think that's an interesting point, because I was thinking about that when you were talking about your parents, and they met in the 80s, and your dad was a watchmaker, and your mom's a watchmaker, and there aren't a lot of stories of women watchmakers. Obviously they existed,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Women were doing everything and have been doing everything for as long as time has existed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but not put in the forefront. Not when they think, when most people think watchmakers, they think some guy in a lab coat.
Right.
Yeah.
And here is your mom, who already stepped in this field, who obviously together with your dad has, laid down that groundwork and passed on that passion to you. What did that mean for you growing up and watching your mom be in this hobby?
Yeah, I think that's probably what
profession.
wanted me to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I really saw how their hard work, and there was a lot of hard work for sure, but they really had control over what they did, and they
Yeah.
were really able to bring their vision to life. And it's something that always really attracted me.
Hmm.
And now really being able to realize that is a little surreal. But it's so beautiful too, because working before as a consultant, you don't really get to have physical objects that you can actually create. And now really you can have something that you're holding in
Yeah,
your
you can
hand,
touch it.
and you're
Yeah.
telling me you're having an emotional reaction to something that we created.
That's
It is
awesome.
something that's so beautiful, and it motivates me to keep going,
Yeah. So where is Vieren going next? What can we expect for the future of Vieren?
I think we're about experimentation.
Okay.
And so the last few things, we've experimented with materials, we've experimented with color. With our latest stereo collection, we're really experimenting with the dial and the movements as
Yeah.
well. So we have one more release coming out in
Okay.
September, actually.
All right.
So stay tuned for that.
Okay.
And then we're going to be really continuing to kind of experiment with more different materials, with more different kind of design to show variability, but still keeping that classic rectangular shape.
I love it. I think you have an incredible story. I think you have an awesome product. It sounds like the relationship that you forged with Sunny is incredibly rewarding. To your point, anytime that you meet your counterpart, launch a business, and then create something that people have a positive reaction to, feels good. To bring something to the market, it's almost like birth. This is like your baby.
Yeah.
And kudos to you. I think this is awesome. I'm excited to see where you both go with this. And I tip my hat off to you because I know how hard it is to be an entrepreneur. I know how much work it takes. I know how much noise you have to quiet and stick to your guns and see things through, and
How much noise you have to make too.
how much noise you have to make too. How many no's you have to hear.
Right.
Knowing when you have to say no, when you have to stick to your guns. It's not easy. It's a long road. It can be lonely. It can be grueling. But you live to see it through, and you live to celebrate. Vieren.
No.
It's amazing. Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
This is awesome.
It's a celebration.
It's a celebration.
Let's celebrate.
Oh, we will.
Yes, we will.
I want to say thank you for coming on the show tonight. It's been a pleasure to have you. Where can people find Vieren?
Of course, you can find Vieren on our website at Vieren, Vieren.co, or Instagram, Vieren Time, Vieren Time.
Amazing. And in terms of price, before we go, what is the price range that's offered for Vieren currently?
Of course, in our matte series, they go for $22.50.
Okay.
Our two leathers, black and white, are $28.50. And our diamonds are $3,500. All of them are limited edition. They're all numbered. There's only 100 of each.
Oh, wow.
Earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
The white croc that you're holding is special edition. There's only 5.
Yeah, I
And
see
then-
that on the case back.
Yes, exactly. They're all numbered as well. And then with our
Oh,
latest,
wow.
That was
Yeah,
number
they
one.
are. This is number 1.
You gotta have it.
Respect.
and with our latest stereo collection, we're really playing up that gold. The gold mirror is $52.50, and then the latest sunray is $55.50.
Incredible. You have an amazing product. I think you got an amazing brand. Incredible story. Thank you again for coming on. For those watching and listening, you know where to find us. At Wrist Check Pod on Instagram, Wrist Check Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts,
TikTok for children.
TikTok for the children, Amazon Music, Stitcher,
Yeah.
Overcast. There's so many casts.
So many cats.
It's a lot of casts. And maybe one day in the metaverse.
No.
Maybe one day.
This has been a real joy, episode 59, and we'll see you all next week.
Peace.
Vieren.